In part 2 of Daniel, chapter 8, let us explore the divine interpretation provided by the angel Gabriel from verses 15 to 27.
Gabriel explains the mystery, verses 15 to 19. The appearance of the interpreter, verse 15. While Daniel was struggling to grasp the terrifying vision, a powerful warrior-like figure suddenly appeared before him to bridge the gap between human confusion and divine revelation. The command from the water. Verse 16. Daniel is standing between the banks of the Ulai Canal, and suddenly a human sounding voice thunders across the water. This isn't just any voice, it is a voice of authority that commands even the mighty Gabriel. Most scholars believe this is the pre-incarnate appearance of Christ or the voice of God Himself. Gabriel is a high-ranking archangel, yet he takes orders from the one speaking from the midst of the river. The command is simple.
Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
This proves that God does not give us riddles just to frustrate us. He gives us visions to instruct us. The little horn had tried to throw the truth to the ground, but now the truth is being lifted back up by the divine command. Daniel is about to get a high-definition download of the future. The weight of glory, verse 17. As he came near the place where I was standing, I was terrified and fell prostrate. Son of man, he said to me, understand that the vision concerns the time of the end. Even though Gabriel is a messenger of help, his holiness is overwhelming. As he approaches, Daniel doesn't just bow. He fell prostrate, that is, falling down on his face. It implies a total loss of strength. This is the natural human reaction to a high-definition encounter with the celestial because of the sheer weight of God's glory. Gabriel addresses Daniel as Son of Man. This title highlights Daniel's humanity and fear in contrast to the angelic and the divine. It serves as a wake-up call. Gabriel was about to tell Daniel concerning the times that was bigger than his lifetime. While it has a literal fulfillment in Antiochus, it's a blueprint of the final climax of human history. The awakening touch to infuse strength. Verse 18. When he was speaking to me, I was in a deep sleep with my face to the ground. Then he touched me and raised me to my feet. Daniel isn't tired. He is experiencing sensory overload. The combination of the terrifying little horn vision and the physical presence of a high-ranking archangel causes his body to shut down. The deep sleep, tardemo in Hebrew, is the same supernatural trance God cast over Adam in Genesis 2:21 during the divine surgery to create Eve. Daniel's humanity has reached its limit. He has short-circuited under the high voltage of heaven. When Daniel hits the ground, Gabriel reaches down. In the Bible, the touch of an angel is always transformative. It's an infusion of celestial strength into human weariness. Gabriel then raised him to his feet. Literally, he made him stand on his standing place. God doesn't just want Daniel to hear the truth while lying in the dust. He wants Daniel to be upright, stable, and positioned to handle the weight of the revelation. The boundary of wrath. Verse 19. He said, I'm going to tell you what will happen later in the time of wrath because the vision concerns the appointed time of the end. The appointed time refers to a fixed deadline. Evil cannot do evil eternally. It's running on a schedule. The little horn might think he is in control, but he is actually operating within the time of wrath that God has already circled on his sovereign calendar. The decoding of kingdoms. Names, faces, and the final fall. Verses 20 to 22. Gabriel explicitly identifies the two-horned ram as the kings of Media and Persia and the shaggy goat as the king of Greece. He explains that the great horn will be shattered at the height of his power and 4 lesser kingdoms will rise in its place, reminding us that every human empire, no matter how great, is only a temporary tenant on God's earth and never the final word in history. The profile of the deceiver, the rise and fall of the little horn, verses 23 to 25. In the latter part of their reign, when rebels have become completely wicked, a stern-faced master of intrigue will arise. These verses give us the internal anatomy of the enemy. He looks powerful, he acts invincible, and he uses deception, lying, and tricking as his primary weapon. He doesn't win by force or using soldiers. He wins by intrigue, that is, cunning and deceitful evil plans. He targets the mighty and the holy alike, making it feel as though no one is safe from his reach. This is the rise of the master of deception, a role filled in history by Antiochus IV Epiphanes and to be filled in the future by the Antichrist. He grows very powerful, but his strength is a dark, borrowed power, not his own. In the end, he is destined to be destroyed, not by human armies, but by a direct command from God. Just as Antiochus was suddenly removed from history, the final Antichrist will also be defeated and destroyed by the Prince of Princes, Jesus Christ, at the Battle of Armageddon. The seal of certainty. Verse 26. The vision of the evenings and mornings that has been given to you is true, but seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future. Gabriel certifies that the 2300 evenings and mornings are absolute truth, but commands Daniel to seal the vision to preserve its integrity for a future generation. That is, those who actually walk through the time of wrath and need it most. It serves as a divine instrument, proving that while a promise may be distant in time, it remains anchored in God's unshakable certainty. The exhaustion of the prophet. The weight of the revelation. Verse 27. I, Daniel, was exhausted and lay ill for several days. Then I got up and went about the king's business. I was appalled by the vision. It was beyond understanding. Receiving apocalyptic visions was so physically and emotionally draining that Daniel reported being sick for days and breathless. This was not just information, it was an emotionally heavy revelation. The voltage of heaven was more than his human frame could handle at once. Even with an angel's touch, the weight of seeing the master of intrigue represented by Antiochus and the future Antichrist and the coming time of wrath left him completely incapacitated. Yet, the most motivational part of his story is that after being crushed by these dark mysteries, he eventually got up to continue the king's business. Daniel's example proves that God's servants can find the strength to stand and fulfill their earthly duties even when their hearts are burdened by the weight of the end times. Conclusion. Daniel 8 proves that no shadow is infinite and no tyrant is permanent. Whether it's a global empire or a personal struggle, every enemy is merely a tenant on a short-term lease. You are not trapped in an endless cycle. You are in a timed event recorded in the ledger of the Almighty. Even when the vision is heavy and your strength fails, remember that your prostrate moments are the posture required to hear the Mighty One speak. The enemy may claim the 2300 evenings, but God owns the 2301st morning. The little horn can exalt himself for his allotted time, but he has no authority over the first second of the next day. As the 2300th night ends, the light of restoration becomes inevitable. So shake off the exhaustion, rise up and go about the king's business, because the Prince of Princes who guards the host of heaven has already numbered the days of your trial.